What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another Overwatch League news update video, and today the Washington Justice, as expected, are back in the headlines. Their roster deconstruction did continue only to a small extent, but it did happen as they ended up transferring Happy over to the Los Angeles Gladiators and Vigilante to the Atlanta Reign. Additionally, we found out some very interesting information regarding their roster for the rest of this season, and that is the fact that they confirmed they will be sticking with the rest of the core that did not get traded or released or anything like that for the rest of this year. There's a lot to talk about in this video, and I want to start with that last point that I made because obviously the Justice are the ones who are getting affected the most here. Their decent looking roster on paper has taken many hits, and now they're left with a 5-man team that consists of Decay, Assassin, Opener, Krillin, and Kalios. And because of all of this, the Justice and their players, they're kind of getting hit hard from 3 different angles. For starters, their mindset is probably down the drain at this point because they thought they were going to stick together for a little bit, but then all of a sudden you have people leaving, and they thought for a while they might even be off the team too. It was a big time disaster, and that could definitely affect their play. But you also have to think about it from the playmaking standpoint. They lost Happy, who was arguably one of their best players, and Vigilante, while we haven't seen a ton of him, his potential is through the roof. We've seen what he can do in contenders. That really sucks, and that's on top of the fact that they already lost Mag earlier in the week. To me, the Justice feel like they're starting to revert back to when they first got Decay, where it was all about him. He was the only playmaker they really had to rely on. That's the situation we're kind of leaning towards again. People like Krillin and Assassin, they might have it in them to do some things sometimes, but overall, this is kind of just the Decay show again. Kalios is their only tank as well, and they have no bench presence whatsoever, so yeah, not a great position for this team at all, and they are plummeting in the power rankings for everybody as we speak, and nobody should expect them to do much of anything for the rest of this season unless something changes very randomly. Something to note with this Justice team, though, is the fact that they are not going to be picking up a 6th player from the looks of it, which seems very suspicious because technically right now they are under the league roster minimum, but they are going to be exploring a loophole where they end up signing one of their current staff members to fill in that 6th player slot. The Justice are trying to save as much money as humanly possible because, again, if you missed it, they're not happy with the direction the league is taking right now. They don't think that it's worth investing in it, so they're not trying to spend a lot of money. They're trying to save in any way they can. I'm very pleased to know that the Justice are not going to be completely starting over from scratch with their roster like a lot of us thought they would. It's great that they made that announcement. They're sticking with the 5 guys they have. We're going to see some familiar faces still. Everybody still has a job. That's great, but we all know it's not going to last. They'll be around this year, but once the season ends, it's all over. This team is most definitely heading towards that budget roster status. It's only a matter of time. They're going to go all in on the minimum aspect. My only problem is that they kind of get to explore this loophole. I just don't like it. I don't like the vibe of them being able to get away with just having 5 players when the rules clearly indicate you need 6. I get it. The money situation isn't great, they don't want to invest, but can they really get away with something like this? I guess so, but I don't like it. Surely I'm not the only person who thinks this way, right? If you also share a similar mindset, let me know down in the comments below. Before moving on from the Justice for today, I quickly wanted to bring up more stuff about these apparent rumors that were going around at the beginning that the Justice were looking to get rid of everybody, because that was the main theme initially. That's what a lot of us were anticipating coming into today. We thought everybody would be cleared off the books and they'd sign a brand new roster. Specifically, a lot of people expected them to sign Team Peps from EU contenders, but none of that went down, and I get the feeling it's because some of these other guys that they have signed maybe weren't easy to clear off the books. Someone like Decay, for example, he's definitely getting paid a lot. There's no way the Justice signed him for cheap back in the day. I remember even just back when Decay was a rookie coming into the league, there was a major bidding war for him. He's definitely one of the more valuable players in the league when it comes to money and contracts and whatnot, and someone of that value is not going to be easy to trade away. Yeah, yeah, Decay is a very talented player, but not a lot of teams are going to be so willing to take on such a massive contract, regardless of the name. So my theory is the Justice really tried hard to trade Decay somewhere else, but it was no good. And I'd assume that the other guys they have signed aren't on super expensive contracts. I mean, maybe Assassin, but definitely not Krillin or Opener, and even Kalios, let's say. So it just wasn't worth trading all of those guys away if you're going to keep Decay. You might as well try and at least win some games by building around him. Why not? And I doubt much of those guys had a lot of trade value either, so in this situation, the Justice made the correct move, and it's going to at least slightly appease the audience. They're obviously still going to be pissed off over something like this, but the fact that they're still familiar faces and they have their star player, I mean, it could be worse, right? It's not a great situation to be in, but you can at least breathe a small sigh of relief knowing that those rumors can officially be put to bed. You have your 5-man roster, and that's it. The only issue is there's a good chance, again, that the Justice just won't be winning that many games for the rest of this year, and there's a chance they could even get kicked out of play-in contention. We'll have to see how things go. But yeah, that's all I've got for you in terms of my feelings with the Justice and where they currently stand. It's not a very good place for them, but hey, that's life. That's sports. So now how about we turn gears and talk about Vigilante and Happy moving teams. First off, I gotta say that I'm super thrilled about where both of them ended up landing. These are both really great spots for them. And what I mean by that is they're both being put in situations that are just way better than the one they are currently in. Both of them are going to what you'd consider to be winning/high potential teams. A lot of people may be a bit confused about the Happy signing, seeing as they already have multiple solid DPS players on the roster and everything, and that might make things even more confusing. But I actually think it makes a lot of sense, especially because as of right now, Patty Pan is dealing with a wrist injury and is unable to play. Between Happy and Ans, I think they can help fill out the role that Patty Pan left behind without too much of an issue, and then Kevster, because he's so flexible, can pick up the rest of the slack. But honestly, the most important thing that Happy brings for the Gladiators is excellent Sojourn play. That's something they've been missing for a while. I'd say ever since Patty Pan went down with his injury. They've been struggling big time on that end. I mean, hell, he might even be a better Sojourn player than Patty Pan is. He's been excellent all season on that character, and clearly the Glads are struggling with that hero right now currently, since Shu is literally off-rolling onto her and Ans isn't the greatest on her. So Happy brings a lot of what they're looking for this particular meta, and it's somewhat worthwhile to have him just in general. This is the best season that Happy has had in a long time to me. This is probably the most confident I have felt in his play since 2019. It feels weird thinking about him and Ans coexisting with one another, but Ans isn't the most flexible in the world right now, so I'd say that it's going to be a lot better than you think, and there is potential for them to maybe play together later down the line, like if we saw a double sniper meta. Imagine how deadly those two could be. I mean, even just in a rotation, they're gonna do great. The only question is Happy only like a temporary solution to their issues until Patty Pan returns if he does this year? Or is there going to be more of a purpose for him from here on out? That is the main question I would like to see get answered. I'm super curious. And I kind of wonder how he's going to fit in. We know he can speak English, that's not a problem. He played on the Outlaws before, but is he going to disrupt the flow? That's something that I'd also like to keep a big eye on, as the Gladiators, they're doing quite well this year and they don't want to mess anything up. But on paper, in theory if you will, Happy to the Glads makes a lot of sense, and it could be beneficial for both sides, so good on him and good on the Glads for getting this done. But how about Vigilante to the Atlanta Reign? Well, this also makes a lot of sense. The Atlanta Reign only have 2 support players on their roster. They could really use the flexibility, and Vigilante is another high potential rookie to join Ultraviolet and OG. I like it. It's true that we have not seen Vigilante all that much at this level just yet, but we do know that he is very capable. He was a solid player in Contenders, and one of the more highly anticipated / sought after support players in this rookie class, so I could see a world where he fits in pretty well with the Reign. He brings in more playmaking, which is a plus, but also his flexibility is going to benefit them too. Just having that third support option on the table makes it so they could comfortably run a double flex support composition to its maximum potential, whether that be Bap Zen, Ana Zen, whatever it may be. They're going to be in better shape there, but also I think here in the present Vigilante could make a difference. It likely won't happen right away since he has to get used to a new roster, an English-speaking team, and moving everything down to Atlanta and everything, but once he does get comfortable, maybe towards the end of this stage or into the tournament even, we could see him get some starting time on that Brigitte, as it did not look half bad when the Justice played him on that role. The stats suggest he did pretty decent, the way the Justice played suggests that he did pretty decent, and Ultraviolet maybe wasn't as good on the break to me. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm overreacting because it's just 1 week, but there is a world where Vigilante could help make this team better very quick. To sum up my feelings on Vigilante going to the Atlanta Reign, I think that it's great he's joining a better situation, a potential winning situation, but also it seems like a good short and long-term investment for this Atlanta team who is pushing to be a dark horse contender come playoff time. But yeah, in general, I'm fairly satisfied with the end result for this whole Washington Justice fiasco. I thought for sure it would end with a lot more drama and some people would be without jobs, but this org showed some class, which I really do appreciate. They may not be invested in the league, but at least they took care of all of their players in one way or another. I'm wishing the absolute best for everybody involved in this situation. I hope the players on new teams find success, but I'm also hoping that the current Justice players can stay motivated and give us some good showings. I don't know what's going to happen from here for sure, but I'm excited to find out nonetheless, and I hope you are too. But that's just about going to do it for today's news video. Let me know what you think about the Washington Justice situation, as well as Happy and Vigilante being traded to their new teams. And if you enjoyed this content and you want more news videos just like this, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you're new. And until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.